When I pulled Feixiao last year, I wanted her to be the second vertical team on my free-to-play Firefly account. But since then, she has had to watch Firefly get all the love. Linxia, Fugue, Fugue's Lightcone, Linxia's Lightcone, Fugue's E1 and E2, and Firefly's own E1 and E2. Feixiao has been doing well on her side with a budget team using Gallagher, March, and Herta, but the cracks were starting to show. Gallagher has been having more trouble sustaining that team against bursty enemies like Hule and the Black Tide NPCs, and while the mini Herta Feixiao combo has been surprisingly effective in pure fiction, it was never that good against the very AoE heavy bosses that we have had in this expansion, and even pure fiction has started dipping below 30,000. But Feixiao's long wait is now over, because reinforcements have finally arrived. Those reinforcements start in 3.5 with Hysolins and Kafka. The old way of patching up Feixiao's AoE was with E1 Jade, but that would cost me 2 pulls, which is the same cost as using Kafka and Hysolins with Feixiao's supports to take care of any AoE that would be too much for Feixiao. It also helps that I can run the DoT team with Firefly's supports instead of Feixiao's if I need to, and that I can farm Kafka's relics at the same time I'm farming Eagle relics for Feixiao. So when 3.5 hit, I pulled for Kafka. We were already deep into pity because of extra pulls we did on the Archer Lightcone, so after a few more, we lost the 50-50, and then after 35 more pulls got our Kafka. Now it was time to go fishing for Hysolins. After 78 pulls, we unfortunately lost the 50-50 to Zele, and after 46 more pulls, fortunately got Hysolins. Then, in 3.6, we have Feixiao's actual upgrade, the new Danhang. At E0, he is already great for her because of the follow-ups from his dragon, but I wanted to really spoil Feixiao. So I start by pulling for Danhang's E1. After 77 pulls, we lose the 50-50 yet again, this time to Fushuan, and then after a painful 76 more pulls, pick up the E1. But we're not done yet. Next, we pull for the Lightcone and fortunately win the 75-25 at Pity. And we're still not done, because now we're going to pull for Dan's E2. After 19 pulls, I lose the 50-50 again to Bronya. I honestly don't know if this is good or bad luck at this point. We are running low on the Stellar Jade, but I have been lazy about doing the campaign on this account, so I spent a week clearing quests and chests, and come back with enough Jade to reach Pity and grab Danhang's E2. Next is Relic Progression. On the last video about this account, which was mainly about Firefly, the top comment was about Feixiao missing crits. So that annoyed me, but you know what? That's fair. Feixiao gets so much bonus crit damage that the Excel says crit capping is 10% more DPS for her. I already had a good crit rate chest, but it messed up her speed tuning for 3 turns inside a Robin ult. So I spent 9,000 relic remains on Eagle boots until I found this beauty. Now, she's a bit over the crit cap, but this is much better. Then I had to deal with my Archer. In 3.4, he had to use Feixiao's second-hand relics. So I spent 6 weeks farming a new Scholar relic set for him. I also farmed at the same time a relic set for my now E3 Bronya, and a set for Blade. Scholar's not ideal for him, but realistically I'm never farming a set just for him because I don't use them. Finally, I spent a month farming the DoT set for Hysolins, which actually ended up pretty great, letting me drop the hit rate chest piece for attack. Now, let's see how these upgrades do in the endgame, starting with pure fiction. Let's start with the DoT team on the first side. We could in principle do this with the Firefly team, but this is a good time to showcase the new DoT team that we have on the account, so might as well. Okay, so we get some triggers off, get Kafka ult, advance her a little bit, not too much, but push the wave along. get our Whimsicality triggered. Kafka's back in action. Now we can advance her. And we get a new wave, so on the new wave we can ult, break everybody. This should wipe the wave. Yeah, so now Kafka's gonna be pretty close to advancing. And this should get us into the next stage pretty fast. Kafka's a lot of fun. Unbelievably fun right now. So this is going to waste a follow-up if we skill right now. So we will first ult here, apply some dots with Feixiao, and now she will follow up again, get another ult. Like, she's constantly ulting in Pure Fiction. It's a lot of fun. But I think that is something you have to consider with this team, is that it really is meant as an AoE team. It's a lot less optimal to play this on single target enemies, because all of your teammates, they basically spam AoE attacks. So it goes to a lot of waste. That's kind of why she struggled a little bit in 2.0, besides the fact that her team didn't get a lot of support, is that we had enemies like Aventurine, we had Sam, and Kafka's just not ideal against those single target enemies with all the blast and AoE attacks that she's doing, especially now after the rework, now that the ults are AoE. But the AoE ults feel really good. Alright, can we get a Ruin May hit here, please? No? We're probably gonna get skill points with the Whimsicality, but don't want to risk the chance of somebody running dry. So we're just gonna proceed like this. Okay, this should trigger the Whimsicality, give us some skill points. Great. So now our goal is to get into wave 3 in a decent amount of time, probably with this next set of attacks, and then that will give us 2 cycles on Aventurine himself. Okay, let's do this follow-up on the Ascended. This should push us into the new wave. Tragic. There. I'm gonna follow up here just to push the wave along. And it didn't use the follow-up. Nice. This will use it though. That's fine. Alright, so here we want to push the shields along. The shields, give us buffs, and they hit the enemies, which is very useful. So we do want to be breaking the shields first. Let's go here, get some rabbits back. It's gonna trigger a rabbit, apply some dots with Feixiao. Alright, now it's Kafka's turn. She can hopefully detonate both of these. Tragic. Oh, but this one. Unfortunate. A bit of a wasted ult. It would have been nicer to have that pop off on a fresh target, but it's good enough for government work. We get skill points back. We can break Aventurine here, or Argenti rather. Action advance. You can see how this team coordinates well. So keep focusing these shields. Probably are pretty low on skill points, and we don't have anything coming up, so we should do this for now. Action advance. Pop that shield. Get some new shields out. Get a rabbit out. Alright. Let's detonate some more shields. Oh, she gets so much energy. It's beautiful. This is one of the more fun teams in the meta right now. Even if it will probably not always be the strongest. Okay, can we get some energy on Hysolens? No. That's too bad. This shield is a little low. Nice. Okay, so now we got a shield of Hysolens. Now we can detonate. Okay, I think we can get this left shield with a regular skill. Okay. Let's get the whimsicality off. Beautiful. Oh no. I think if we had hit Kafka there, we might have had a chance for another turn, but this is going to do the follow-up, kill the shield, and give us a nice... See, if he had hit, or if Argenti had hit Kafka there, it would have been great. On the second side, we have the new and improved Feixiao follow-up team. And improving this team's performance was one of the reasons we pulled this Dan Hang. So let's see how it has accomplished that. Previously, this team would have probably done around 28,000, 29,000, maybe like 31, 32 if it had a whimsicality that especially helped it. So obviously we're trying to get some significant improvement from that. And we don't have to Robin ult right away. We actually can just go through our natural turns before pushing through. Alright, so this should push us into the next wave. And I don't want to use an ult here, because I think we can push the wave without it. Perfect. So I will ult now to not waste any more energy. And dragon's out. So we can do the second dragon. And now we heard a ult before this second dragon comes out. Okay, the second dragon's out. So now we follow up with Feixiao again with another ult. We just keep focusing the Praetor. It's the most efficient way to do this. Can we finish the second wave before the first cycle is out? I think we can. Yeah. Oh, unfortunate. 1%. Would have been nice to have it on this final wave, but we are on the third wave with a Feixiao before the first cycle is ended. Crazy. Massive improvement in performance. I think this triggers a Herda, so dragon's out. Now we get another dragon. We do want to make sure that we get this shield, the 1 out of 7 shield, on the Mad King broken before his turn. That does a decent amount of damage. So we'll do that now. Try to clear this wave. Alright. Can I get another Zero Cycle? Another Herta Wind before Robin's turn comes up? Yes, we can. So we get a new shield on the Mad King, and Robin's out. So Robin's just gonna go a little boop. And we're right back into Robin's ult. Here we can push this wave along. Push this here. Here we do want to this. We want a dragon to come out. Yeah, we're waiting for this dragon to hit. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to spend these dragons in time anymore. So we get the whimsicality off, which means we can start ulting with Feixiao again. Get this ult out. Okay, Mad King's turn is coming up. He's gonna get a new set of shields. 12 out of 12. Let's see if we can pop this shield in time. It's gonna depend on... I wonder if I have to Robin ult here. Robin skill, I do. So I think I just basic here to make sure I can skill with Robin without any problems. I will let that that dragon go through and then pop it right after. I don't need to pop that quite yet. I will just push this along. Let's see, can we get a dragon close by? This will get us a whirlwind. Perfect, big chunk of damage on the Mad King. Dragon is like still far away, but there's basically no point accelerating the dragon. We actually want to slow down the dragon pushes at this point. Alright, so that we can do this. The new armor on the Mad King is going to be easier to break down if we just slow down a little bit. Okay, so Mad King's turn is next. I want to make sure that he breaks, but I guess her to follow up can break it. Okay, so this should bring this enemy below half health, trigger a follow-up, crack the shield. Perfect. Okay, gets a new set of armor. I think this gets us our whimsicality back. Perfect. Get our whimsicality back. So Robin is going to come out. I don't have to use her quite just yet. I can just farm a skill point here. And now I can do it after this dragon. Alright, let's see. What do you want to do? We're not going to be able to get the dragon back quite in place. So we're just going to go here for this kill. Get the whimsicality back. Next is Memory of Chaos. Alright, so this first side we are going to do with Feixiao's follow-up team. Here we're just going to do some toughness damage on the Ascended. Feixiao in the past would have struggled a bit with this side because she doesn't have AoE for Flame Breather, and this is not a win stage, but now with Dan Heng's AoE, she actually can do a decent pace on this side. We don't really need to try to brute force it in a zero cycle setup like you would have had to before. So here we focus on the Praetor's shields in the opening. And after this dragon goes out and does toughness damage on the Ascended, we do our Robin ults, do some more toughness damage. So here we're lowering toughness to make sure that Feixiao's ult does more damage. And here we don't want to waste any charge. So the Praetor takes his turn, and then after the Praetor takes his turn, we go with Feixiao again. So the reason is, if I did my ult twice, I would have missed this opportunity to hit his shield again. Dragon goes out, kills the Praetor. Second dragon goes out. Let's see if we need to use this for March. It appears we do, but mostly according to the Keikaku. And now we are on to Flame Reaver. So with Flame Reaver before, Feixiao would have had to like start using her ult just to keep pace with the ghosts. But not anymore. Now we just have to weaken them a little bit. And we can save the ultimate for actual Flame Reaver. So just keep weakening the targets. Here it's important we get this ult. So we are 29, which is too little, so we have to unfortunately skill here. Robin's Light Cone would have been a big help here. Definitely something I'm looking to upgrade to in the future. So more skills. Don't want to waste charges. So we're gonna ult here. And get our dragons back. So now the ghosts are going to be weakened. And we just ult here. Just to make sure we don't waste a lot of charge. That's fine. Doesn't barely heals off of that. Here, I think the dragon will probably get the ads. So I think here, yeah, it's gonna flip him over. So now we recharge our dragon. And again, Robin is too low on energy, so unfortunately I have to do this. Here I'm actually going to wait for this attack. I just want to give a little bit more charge to Feixiao. Spread the damage. Whimsicality is actually going to do a lot of damage here, or the Turbulence rather. Ultimate on Flame Reaver. Perfect. So now he has half armor. Alright, how do we play this? The ghosts are probably not gonna die at this point. So let's try to get like 2 ults for Feixiao, and maybe that will be enough. 1 dragon out. 2nd dragon out. Another ult. Ah, it's tight. And unfortunately, we just run out of gas a little bit before the end. I feel like in a bunch of spots there, you know, so just 1 upgrade anywhere on this team, probably like a Robin Light Cone would have been enough to push this into a 2 cycle. But alas, we're gonna go for recharging. And finish it up with a nice, clean recycle. On side 2, Iker is almost designed for Super Break, so of course let's use our Firefly. Here we're gonna let the monkey go first before we do this action advance. Something I saw happen was that if he took his turn after the action advance, breaking him made him wake up way too fast before Firefly's last action. So here we just skill. Rabbit goes out. Now we get our E2 trigger. Just want to make sure this ape dies. And we can start breaking this stuff. We can save our ults for the final wave. Here we'll just do this. So here I do want to reskill for a reason we'll talk about it in wave 2. But this is going to get the enemies down. One of the problems is, unfortunately, Firefly is too fast. This is actually kind of awkward. Because what's going to happen is he's going to target somebody, do them damage them, and then spawn these guys. And ideally, I actually want to kill these with somebody other than Firefly. In fact, I want to kill them with someone other than Firefly so much that I put a break effect rope on Lingsha, and it didn't quite work. See, it's just not enough damage, which is unfortunate, because Firefly is gonna have to kill these basically using a basic here would waste too much time. And now I really wish I could have instead had this double attack triggering on this with less health on it, as well as on the Fugue Shield. But instead we have to burn this turn, and we actually waste a lot of damage. So here we do still want Firefly to break this, so we're going to be careful to not break it. We're going to do action advances. And we do the break on the Fugue Shield. And now it's a slow, methodical, I guess, kill on this broken enemy. And this is one of the bad things about Firefly that really sucks about her as a unit, is you get into these positions where she just ends up burning so much time of her actual DPS phase, which is supposed to be this phase, trying to like get back into her ult form. Like her energy needs a solution. And so that kill unfortunately doesn't give her an extra attack, so you know, like we're wasting one of the bonus attacks that she has. We're just gonna basic, and I guess do this. Gonna get this imprint. Now we can Lingsha ult here. Rebuff Firefly. Here we do want to use this on Firefly. She gets some extra damage reduction in her armored form. So this is actually not going to kill her. The other people on this team, it will probably kill them. See, it's pretty low, but we're fine. And now we get this break. We do have to be careful about not popping this. Okay, we're fine. So Firefly will get an extra turn here, which is great. I'm so close to doing this in 2 cycles, but unfortunately, it's gonna be just a little short. Let's try to advance everybody. No, not quite. So almost the 2 cycle, which is not bad, but 3 cycles good enough. Now, Apocalyptic Shadow. So the footage that I had of the 3.6 Apocalyptic Shadow, the one with Pollux, it got corrupted, and I only realized that when I was editing the footage for this video. So I re-recorded what was available then, which is the 3.7 Apocalyptic Shadow, to include with this count update. So instead we get to enjoy the DoT team, supported by the Robin and Dan Hang from the follow-up team. On the first side against the Star Devourer. Now, the thing about the Star Devourer is that kind of an awkward fight for DoT, because obviously the DoT buff in this Apocalyptic Shadow is on the other side. But this is a physical weakness stage, and it is an AoE oriented stage. So it's a decent matchup. Unfortunately, we can't really run Feixiao on this side. I really wish we could and just keep this the mono Feixiao vertical team. But the problem is these enemies are way too bulky. Here we just rebuff the dragon after it times out. Having the constant follow-ups is very good for triggering Kafka's follow-ups herself and keeping her energy up. But so the issue is Feixiao has a pretty good matchup now against somewhat smaller enemies. You know, something like what we saw in Flame Reaver fight. But against these bigger mini stings that we have on this side, it becomes a problem. Like, she can't really handle it. So here we focus big stings so that we can get the detonates out. Okay, let's detonate again. Let's do one more ult inside the Robin ult. Alright, so here... Fortunately, we're nowhere near, so I think we're just basic here. I definitely need that Robin Lycon. Get an ult off this way. Dragon goes out. Perfect. Okay, so we swing the swarm around, and now we detonate. This gets us a decent pace. So you do still need some kind of AoE beyond what Feixiao is able to offer. And Kafka is going to provide that for us. Now the timing on this is not insane, obviously, as we said before. The whimsicality buff is on the other side, but we can make decent pace. Certainly respectable. But that is something to pay attention to. The degree to which a lot of these stages are buff dependent and how the buffs help out and speed up the passage. Let's try to detonate here. So I do want to just do basic toughness damage here. Don't really have anything else to do. He's gonna lock up again. That's annoying. Alright. Kafka goes. Kafka detonates this side. Ugh, this is so annoying. Robin is like always just a little bit short of her. I think I want to get actually the detonate on this side. Is this gonna break him? Curious. Guess not. Alright, we can just advance here. This should, I think, break him. Yeah. Alright, so let's do a dragon. Detonate these. We do want to focus our follow-ups on the Star Devourer. Fortunately, it doesn't trigger the ult, so we waste some energy there. Alright, let's see if we can get like a 1500 score. Okay. Kafka? Alright, 1495. Almost 1500. Not bad without any buff assistance. On side 2, Fentilia is basically designed for super break, so of course we're going to be running that team here. And it actually goes by pretty fast with all the Eidolons that we have available to us now. So here we advance. Just do a basic. Here we can skill. And with Firefly's E2, we can just get an extra turn this way instead of having to waste time killing this flower, so that we can unlock Fantilia and start focusing her. Now, we will use this advance from Fugue. But we're going to be careful not to use the Lingsha ulti. That we want to save for another time. Here we can... I think we can just basic here. Now we just want to bring the enemy low so that Firefly is the one to break it. So here we just rebuff. So making sure that Firefly is the one to break is going to be important for getting this extra damage out. And now Firefly got advanced along with everybody else. So this is going to almost bring us down. Unfortunately, not quite enough energy for advance here. And we push the phase. The advance is pretty good, but I think the energy is actually better because Firefly's ult obviously advances her. So I think in general this is not an ideal. Here I will skill and advance everybody. And we're gonna try to get I don't think we can get Firefly, unfortunately, back into the cycle. Yeah, it's not quite enough. Our Dance 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 is not S5. If it was, I think she's inside or another attack with inside of her ult. But given that we're not able to do that, we're just gonna go ahead and break here. Now, unfortunately, Firefly is going to spend, a lot of time getting her ult back. 2 attacks is quite a large amount. But hopefully, at some point, there will be something in her kit that fixes that problem. Okay, so I think here we can afford to use this ult here. Because the rabbit got triggered, it shouldn't trigger an emergency rabbit. So now we can break, get an extra turn, and get advanced. And this should be it. Perfect. And finally, the new mode, Anomaly Arbitration. On the first night, we are going to open up with our signature Firefly team. And this is pretty straightforward since we basically overgear this significantly. Alright, let's do some AoE. Let's start killing these dinosaurs. Let's get this rabbit in front of Firefly. Alright, she's gonna almost kill this. Perfect, now we're on to the next phase. Advance everybody. We don't actually want her breaking anything. So Firefly gets to break these. We can try to break this, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to. So we're just going to move on to the next phase. They come out. Do a little bit of damage, but that's not an issue because we get cleansed. Keep doing toughness damage. Alright, Firefly gets one more turn before she phases out, but this is going to be a double turn. And we can action advance a little bit one more time. Can we get that Firefly back into the cycle? No, we can't. Our DDD is not strong enough. Let's ult just right away. That's it. So on the second night, we are running our new DoT team. And we are also borrowing Robin from the Feixiao team. We're not going to run Feixiao on the final stage of the nights because the Archer was actually performing a little bit better. So we're going to play it like this. Let's just be efficient. Get everybody healed up, make sure nobody dies here. Get our turn back. Ray is going to spawn these ads. Now High Silence is going to take her turn. And we're going to get one more Kafka ult. And we're just gonna action advance here. So now that we have action advanced, we're going to detonate. And start working on the second one that spawns in. Now we do have to be careful about Robin dying because she doesn't auto attack. So we're just gonna get this energy here this way. To advance. And we do want to get in front of Kafka so that we don't waste her follow-up. Perfect. Alright. So now we're on to the next phase. Can we get Kafka back into the cycle? Alright. We can. So we start stacking our dots. Robin comes out. Not quite enough for getting her into the next ultimate, but I get this real quick. Yeah, so this is going to get it. We're gonna get these dots off. And then advance. Okay, so now we have our healing set up. Detonate. Advance. This character's a lot of fun. And here we're pretty healthy on skill points, so I think we can do a skill here. Our goal here is going to be to kill off the meme onto death before it's able to really do any damage to us. Here I want to ult. And I want to be careful with Robin. I don't want Robin dying. So we're just gonna heal here. And then action advance right in front. Get the eye on Gallagher, and then get the guy in high silence. Kafka advances. Just do a basic here. And now we loop around again. Now he's going to take his turn. He's going to steal our allies, and we're going to respond by detonating them right away. Perfect. And Gallagher pulls ahead to give Kafka another follow-up, another follow-up, another ult. God, she is so much fun to play right now. And that's too little too late for him. Our meme onto death friend. He's not going to make it to that ability again. On the final night, we have Archer. If you watched last week's video on relic farming, you're familiar with this team. It's a little faster than Feixiao, I found out, and it allowed us to move Robin to the DoT team, which is nice. But here, we've got the action advance. This will give us an attack buff on Archer, and now we're going to start action advancing Dante's dragon. So this will give us 3 arrows, which will give us an ultimate, and then the RMC ult will give us a follow-up, which will give us another arrow. Unfortunately, the follow-up went to a useless target. Again, it went to a useful target, which is too bad. But now our goal is just to farm up skill points. If you're not familiar, this Hanya is using a Ruin melee cone, which is kind of a neat trick. She has enough break to be able to use that light cone and get some skill points whenever she ults, which is nice. Arguably, Dance 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 might still be better, but I've been using it and having some fun with it. So this is probably not enough to kill. So I think we're just gonna basic here and get some skill points, and then now we're gonna kill. Perfect. And here, I'm just gonna ult. Actually advance the dragon. So we're just farming up skill points while focusing this middle target. Hanya is in front of Archer. Question is, so I think I want to break this before her turn. One, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, we need like something like his own ult to get an extra 5th arrow, but this will do for now. I kind of want to start focusing here. Okay, so we got the Dante ult, and I think I will use it since we're pretty low on skill points. And then here we're just basic. RMC breaks this. Archer's next. This is fine. So we're going to save that ultimate for Archer's turn, but we will use this here. So now we're going to be able to get 5 arrows with this setup, which is great. Now I think we can probably kill, or almost kill the lion, which is good. Do we advance the dragon here? We could. There's no reason not to. We have too many dragons anyway. Get another follow-up from him. So this is going to get him right back up. And our goal now is to get enough skill points for him to kill this guy on his next target. Up to 6 empowered dragons. Ultimate. That should be it. Perfect. And now the final challenge, King Lygus. So I was surprised by this stage because it's a lot more difficult than the Knights. I actually thought the Knights were kind of fair, or I actually thought they were kind of easy. You know, we were 0 cycling and 1 cycling them. Obviously, extra long cycles, but still. And then this is just way harder. And it's not even because of the HP. It's kind of because of the energy drain. Partially in this first stage, with the lion draining, but also the fact that enemies drain you for 2 every time you hit them. And it's one of those things where if you have extra energy regen, like Robin's Light Con, then it matters less, but if you don't, it's a big problem. And you're gonna be constantly starved for energy. So our goal here is to minimize the effect of that, specifically through killing this lion first. The lion is responsible for the birds being spawned. So those birds are draining Dante of his ult charge every time his dragon goes out, which is very frustrating. So this first stage is going to take a decent amount of time, but once we're out of it, the Lygus is going to go by faster. But that being said, this does require like a certain amount of, I want to say, investment. It is definitely not likely to do this with, like, you know, E0s, S0s, and that's one of the problems with March. Okay, so we're out. You know, Robin's at half. She should have more, but unfortunately she doesn't. So we're gonna try to get Robin back into her ult, even though this lion is preventing us from doing so by draining her. Very annoying. So March is like still viable kind of here, but she's definitely starting to show her age. There's just no way around it. The problem is that as a character, she just doesn't meet the thresholds that she needs to be meeting anymore. Which is very unfortunate. Because I like her a lot, and I don't want to have to upgrade to a Cypher, but with this King thing, it starts to feel like you do have to. Or especially if the HP keeps increasing. Okay, let's see if we can kill this lion here. Perfect. That's what I was looking for. Okay, let's see. Can we get back into the phase? Into the Robin cycle. No. Yes, we can. Perfect. See, so now that the other lion is dead, like, Dante is able to get his ult much easier. It's way better. Okay, just skill. Get some toughness damage out. Oh, that's so annoying. Let's save this. Maybe we can get this dragon. I don't know, this dragon's gonna take a while to get out. Let's push it along. And then one more dragon. And ult. Get March ahead. So there are different strategies you can use to make this work. You don't have to pull Evernight, but at moments it does kind of feel like you're being pushed to pick Evernight. But mainly the two strategies are to either do a lot of AoE to him, or to ignore his AoE and just focus on a single target. Unfortunately, with E2 Dante, Feixiao can just do exactly that. So we're going to be focusing on getting this dragon back up. One nice thing is that now that we're in this mode, we basically have infinite dragon. You're going to see a lot of dragon charges. Oh, we didn't get the Robin ult. That's unfortunate. So this is the one bad thing about this is there is a lot of RNG. And you do need Feixiao to get ulted. The fact that she got ulted by Xander outside of her turn, outside of Robin's ult is kind of unfortunate. But Feixiao did get the ult charges, so that's important. This is why this phase is like relatively okay, despite we burned so many cycles in the first stage. Okay, dragon, March goes. We can ult again. Yeah, we can ult again. So he's broken. Gonna just keep pushing this dragon along. You can see how Dante already has his drag. We just dragged him out, so we can drag him again. Farm more attacks. Alright, so now we have a couple cycles left. And he's already at 67%. So let's try to bring it home at this point. Let's be efficient with our dragons. Let's hopefully get another Feixiao ult pop up. I'm gonna probably save that dragon for when Feixiao has pushed him up. This is fine. So she goes. Now we're gonna ideally push up this dragon. Nice, so the dragon gets ahead of Xandar. This is fine. This is fine. Xandar, the dragon goes out, and then we get another dragon right away with the action units. An E2, perfect. Alright, 50%, and we have about a cycle and a half left. Perfect. This is actually a bit of a mistake. We should have skilled first, but this is good enough. March advances. Feixiao advances. We break Xandar. We get our shield back up. We're gonna do their damage, but we're not too concerned about it. Our shields are huge. I think I'm gonna wait for Feixiao to pull this dragon up again. March is gonna go, then the dragon is gonna go, then we get second dragon. And he lashes out, but we don't really care. The only annoying thing is he did stun us out of continuing our turns. Dragon? Now, we're getting close to the finale. It's gonna be important. Perfect. Feixiao gets her ult. And March goes. She's gonna get the kill. Dragon gets the kill. And we have an entire ult left over. Before we finish, let's talk about Anomaly Arbitration as a new mode in terms of strategy and place in the game. I like it. I think it's in a good place. I generally like how it's balanced and designed. You know, you do need 3 teams instead of 2, which is awkward. But as your account matures, you realize that the game throws a lot of stuff at you, like Archer, you get a Blade, you get a Bronya, stuff that you get a Ratio, stuff you didn't pull for intentionally, you just got for free, and maybe you're using it, maybe you're not, but Himiko Clara are fine sometimes too. So you can figure out a way to like make a third team that can squeeze out a 2-cycle result just to get you that resin and to get you to the king. It's not so bad. And the king, I like the design of the king. So, you know, this is not the level 120 like the normal one, obviously. But it's designed pretty well in the sense that, you know, you can do this, I think, with E0S1 characters, and you can do this with E2 characters for 2 stars, and then you can do this with, you know, E6 characters for 3 stars. And I think for the level 120, you probably need like a full E6 team. So it's like an ultra whale. So it's like a mode that has something for everybody. Oh, almost every. We'll talk about that in a second. So, and you know, you do get buffs. So there are different ways to approach it. It's not like you have to pull Castorius or Finon to make it work. And I think that, you know, it's a cool thing that we have finally sort of a mode that forces you to do these mechanics. Ever since Memory of Chaos came out, we have been getting bosses that you sort of just ignore the mechanics. It has been a bit higher or harder to do that because of the HP creep that has been happening. But in general, to this day, like a lot of the creator content is like 0 cycle that, 0 cycle this. All the mechanics basically get ignored. A lot of players, I think, just don't know what bosses do. So having one mode where players are expected to actually read these things and know what these bosses do is a good thing. And, you know, for me personally, as a vertical Firefly player, after she got to E2, the end game went from kind of easy to just very easy, and taking her to E6 kind of felt pointless because sending E6 Firefly against Pure Fiction or whatever is like a war crime. But now we have a mode that actually is a decent benchmark for, you know, players to push their higher investment characters against, and, you know, get a small reward, a little banner or whatever. It's in a good place. It's not perfect. I think some of these are not really balanced. Like having the knights do more turns is not so bad, but like having your knight's action delay is pretty bad, and then this energy absorption is actually terrible. Like it kind of almost bricks Firefly, which is a problem for the king. So like normally I would probably just want to run something like Feixiao on this Hule, but Hule's interference in this stage probably, I imagine, would hurt Feixiao quite a bit. So maybe I would have to get creative and put a Clara in there, and then maybe, I don't know, like RMC, and do it something like this, because Clara doesn't care about action delayed. And, you know, that can be either a bad thing, because you have this team that should work, but doesn't just because of this silly debuff. Or it could be considered a good thing, because you have to be a little bit creative with these sometimes. That's up to you. But the one thing that does kind of suck is I think King in check is probably hard for E0, S0 horizontal players to do. I don't have a horizontal account to really like make a educated statement about that. So if you do have one of those accounts, let me know in the comments how you're doing. But I would guess, like, if you don't have Castorius or Finon, then Lygus and Aquila were probably kind of hard to do at E0 is 0, maybe impossible. I can see like Castorius getting through, but I can't see like Midday at E0 S0 getting this star. So that's a little unfortunate. I think that ultimately, if you're interested in this mode, don't pull for this mode specifically. Like, don't become a vertical investment player just for this mode. But it's probably not worth it, really. But if you are a vertical investment type of player, or you're trying to think strategically about this, I think the most simple thing would probably be like to get a couple of teams that are that have supports that are relatively flexible. So, you know, you would get your Bronya at E2S1, and then you would have a Robin at where is she? E2S1, and then you would have a Dan Hang that's E2S1. And so there you have like relatively flexible supports. So something like Tribby, Cypher, those are more valuable now to have them with a couple of Eidolons, because those can be used on basically any team. You know, something like Bronya, Robin, even Sunday, they're a little less valuable now because those are more specific teams. Like Sunday doesn't work with casters, for example. And so you would have like a fairly invested support or two on for each team, and they help the team get through the Knights, and then you would go into the King stage, and you would, you know, bring them all together, and you would have all of your vertical investment back together on one team, and then you would throw in whatever DPS is best for this stage. In this case, let's say all of mine, let's say Archer, right? And then you would just give him the skill point one, and you would get your star or 2 stars this way. That's how I'm thinking about this mode strategically. But then again, I don't think you need to invest in this. I think you should just keep pulling characters that you like, and I'm just glad that it's in the game. I look forward to doing this with Firefly and seeing how far I can push it. Let's wrap things up and talk about the teams while I have the builds playing in the background. Dan Hang is awesome. Really happy with those pulls. He's a big damage buff for Feixiao, makes her a lot more flexible. He also works with a lot of DPS, and like in addition to Feixiao and Kafka, he makes it easier for me to potentially make content for Himiko, Clara, Zele, even Yanqing. This leaves Feixiao team in a pretty good place. I am a little concerned about March. I was hoping to get her a Topaz Lycone at some point to close the gap between her and Cypher. But with Topaz now being in the companion store, it looks like we won't be seeing that banner anymore. I like March as a character a lot, and I really want to keep her on the team for as long as possible and not to have to replace her with Cypher, but it looks like unfortunately that's kind of out of her control, and it will now depend on how that team feels after Feixiao gets to E2 and Robin gets her Lycone. I'm mostly happy with Kafka and Hysolence. You know, for the relatively low investment, Kafka is also a lot of fun after her buffs with the constant follow-ups and ults. Definitely like maybe the second or third most fun thing in the game, competing with like Anaxa and Feixiao, I think. I was concerned when I pulled this team that it would struggle a bit after the DoT stages buffs would leave, but seeing it do 1500 and Apocalyptic Shadow without a buff helping her makes me optimistic. That leaves the Firefly team. E2 Firefly is, I think, in a great place. I can point her at any stage in any mode with any element of enemies, and she will clear it in good time. My only complaint is really that she's not clearing it even faster, because if she goes out of her enhanced state, it takes a really long time to get back into it. So she does have energy problems, but it looks like Dahlia will fix those problems soon. So, looking forward to that. That's it for now. Subscribe and like. Join the Discord. I'll see you in the next one.